Co-presented by Berger Paints. Paint your imagination.
Now, the State of War 2022 has begun. The Election Commission has announced dates for elections in 5 states of Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Goa, Uttarakhand and Manipur. UP will face elections in 7 phases. Manipur will go to polls in 2 phases. On the other hand, Punjab, Goa and Uttarakhand will vote in 1 phase. The first phase of the polls in Uttar Pradesh will take place on February 10th, while the final phase will take place on March 7th. The elections in Uttarakhand, Punjab and Goa will be held in a single phase on February 14. The northeastern state of Manipur will go to polls in 2 phases on February 27 and March 3rd. The counting of votes will take place on March 10th.
All elections of 5 states will be conducted in 7 phases. I will give you the, I will read it and I will give you.
Total 7.
Total 7. All the 5 states combined together will be completed in 7 phases. The date of counting is 10th March 2022, that is Thursday. Last time, 2017, the election was announced on 4th of January and the counting was on 11th, and here we are announcing on 8th. So we are squeezing the time as also and the phases also.
Now, political reactions are pouring in after the big poll date announcement by the Election Commission. Let's listen in.
10 मार्च 2022 को जब उत्तर प्रदेश विधानसभा चुनाव के परिणाम आएंगे तो भारतीय जनता पार्टी प्रचंड बहुमत के साथ जनता जनार्दन का आशीर्वाद प्राप्त करने में सफल होगी, इसमें कोई संदेह नहीं होना चाहिए।
इन्हीं तारीखों का इंतजार उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता कर रही थी। पिछले 5 साल में इतना अन्याय कभी नहीं देखा होगा जितना भारतीय जनता पार्टी की सरकार में अन्याय हुआ है। डबल इंजन की सरकार जो दावा कर रही थी कि उत्तर प्रदेश का विकास किया है, उत्तर प्रदेश को अगर देखेंगे पीछे कर दिया और विकास ठप रहा। यहाँ के किसानों की आय दोगुनी नहीं हुई, महंगाई बढ़ी है, बेरोजगारी बढ़ी है, नौकरियों के झूठे प्रचार किए इन्होंने, विकास के झूठे विज्ञापन लगाए और इनका हर वादा जुमला निकला। इसलिए पूरी तरीके से उत्तर प्रदेश की जनता इनको इस बार हटाने का काम करेगी। 10 मार्च में उत्तर प्रदेश से भारतीय जनता पार्टी का सफाया होगा।
कंप्लायंस की बात कही है, कोविड प्रोटोकॉल का और इलेक्शन कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट का। कांग्रेस ने हमेशा उसका पालन किया है, हम आगे भी पालन करेंगे और हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि ये सब चीजें यूनिफॉर्मली सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज पर लागू होंगी। यहाँ बंगाल नहीं दोहराया जाएगा क्योंकि बंगाल के अंदर जो रूलिंग पार्टी था दिल्ली में और जो शक्तिशाली लोग थे, उन्होंने सारे कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट को भी वायलेट किया और कोरोना प्रोटोकॉल को भी वायलेट किया।
चुनाव आयोग ने जो भी बंदोबस्त किया है उसमें आम आदमी पार्टी का पूरा समर्थन रहेगा, चाहे जो उनके कोविड प्रोटोकॉल्स को लेकर अनाउंसमेंट्स स्पेसिफिक हैं, चाहे जो उन्होंने डेट्स की घोषणा करी है, तो हम पूरा समर्थन देंगे इलेक्शन कमीशन को। चुनाव 14 फरवरी को है, उत्तराखंड में भी, गोवा में भी और पंजाब में भी, और हम चुनाव की डेट का स्वागत करते हैं। आम आदमी पार्टी पूरी तरह से तैयार है। 14 फरवरी वैसे भी आम आदमी पार्टी के लिए बहुत लकी डेट है, बहुत खास डेट है, तो हमें खुशी है इस बात की कि इन तीनों राज्यों में 14 फरवरी को चुनाव है और हमें पूरा भरोसा है कि बहुत ही शानदार रिजल्ट आम आदमी पार्टी को इन तीनों राज्यों में मिलेगा।
Election Commission's crackdown on political rallies amidst the rising Omicron cases in India. Prioritizing COVID safety, the poll panel banned all rallies, processions and roadshows ahead of the elections in 5 states till January 15. The Election Commission has restricted the number of voters to 1,250 per polling booth and has given an option to file online nominations for candidates. The Election Commission further announced that all polling officers will be treated as frontline workers and will be given precautionary doses, while postal ballot services will be available for all COVID positive patients.
The Commission has decided that no roadshow, padyatra, cycle, bike vehicle rally and procession shall be allowed till 15th January 2022. Commission shall subsequently review the situation and issue further instructions accordingly. So up to 15th of January, because the situation is dynamic, it is not static. No road show, no Padyatra, no cycle, bike or vehicle rally and any procession. Similarly, no physical rally of political parties or probable candidates or any other group related to election shall be allowed till 15th January. Commission shall subsequently review the situation considering the situation of the pandemic and issue further instructions accordingly. So up to 15th of January, there is absolutely a moratorium of physical rally and physical road show. यकीन हो तो कोई रास्ता निकलता है, हवा की ओट भी लेकर चिराग जलता है. So therefore यकीन होना चाहिए. We should have a yaqeen, we should have a faith, we should have a absolutely belief that we can pass through this particular pandemic also through our safety measures, through our proper following of the COVID appropriate behavior. Only then we can sail through effectively, safely into this election process, as has been done in earlier past elections also.
अगर वर्चुअल रैली के लिए हम जाएंगे तो उन पार्टियों के लिए कहीं ना कहीं इलेक्शन कमीशन को सोचना चाहिए, जिन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के पास, जिन पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज के वर्कर्स के पास अगर कोई इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर नहीं है, वर्चुअल रैली के लिए तमाम चीज़ें नहीं है, तो आखिरकार वो कैसे करेंगे. इसलिए कहीं ना कहीं इलेक्शन कमीशन को कुछ तो सहयोग करना चाहिए, चाहे वो चैनल के माध्यम से विपक्ष के लोगों को समय ज़्यादा दें, फ्री में समय मिले. ये अगर इलेक्शन कमीशन चिन्हित करता है, निश्चित करता है, तो वर्चुअल रैली या वर्चुअल कार्यक्रम या पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज अपनी बात जनता तक पहुंचाने चाहेंगे तो ये कामयाब रहेंगे.
BJP spokesperson Tom Vadakan is now joining us. Amar Pawar of the Congress is also joining us on this discussion. Mr. Vadakan, I'll come across to you first. The Election Commission has finally announced the dates to those much anticipated early 2022 polls. How confident is the BJP feeling going into these elections? Because the challenge is from all corners, be it the Congress and the Aam Aadmi Party and the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh. Even in a small state like Goa, the TMC, the Congress, the AAP, everyone has thrown their hat in the ring.
Well, let me first congratulate the Election Commission and its team for coming out with a bold and perhaps history-creating statement on this election. And I believe that this is not just good for the whole country. This is a step forward, especially the issue about what I would term as the banking setup. You have KYC. You have know your candidate. So you have the details of the candidate before you go and vote. You know what are the issues that are there, especially candidates who come with baggages. They are put up by all political parties. I think this is a dramatic change of scenario which the Election Commission has brought forward. We praise them for that. And especially the COVID precautions that have been taken is extraordinary. I don't think any part of the world such practices are being done.
Absolutely, it's quite extraordinary. So I'll in fact come across to you for that. But of course, how is the BJP feeling ahead of these elections? 1 month, MCC comes into effect from tomorrow, starting the 10th of February. The BJP has to nosedive into these elections, especially Uttar Pradesh, which is critical and goes to polls in 7 phases.
We are a party that does not prepare for elections. We are prepared for elections all the time. Our actions, our developmental activities are all directed towards the people of the state, people of this country. We know we don't have to go for a campaign. Our deeds speak for ourselves. Developmental activities that have happened in Uttar Pradesh and other states.
So are you saying that the COVID protocols which have been put in place by the Election Commission, completely banning any sort of physical rallies, nukkad sabhas, padyatras, road shows, etc. until the 15th of January, that doesn't impact your campaign?
It certainly does not. As I said, I'm repeating it. Our actions are already there in public domain. So it doesn't really make a difference. We don't have to stand on the rooftop saying we'll do this or we'll do that. We've already done it.
Okay, so it doesn't make a difference, is what the BJP is saying. The Congress, Mr. Aman Pawar, how do you respond to what the Election Commission has said, completely banning and putting a moratorium on any sort of campaigning, big or small, until the 15th of January?
See, we are a responsible political party, unlike the BJP, which was flouting rules left, right, and center during the second wave and during the West Bengal elections. Now, this election is a huge opportunity for the youth to answer the unemployment provided by the BJP government. This election is a huge opportunity for the women, for the sexual assault, the crime against women, which is on its peak in Uttar Pradesh. This election is a huge opportunity for the farmers who have faced all sorts of atrocities by the BJP. And we have seen how Ajay Teni, whose son has been charge-sheeted for killing so many farmers, for running his SUV, is still the minister in the Modi government. So I think this is an election of aspiration. And people of this country, people of these states which are going under election, have seen the mismanagement, have seen the chaos, and have seen the utter ignorance by the BJP towards people-centric issues. But people of this country are also very conscious that there is only one thing. The BJP might not be scared of the rising price rises. The BJP might not be scared of inflation, may not be scared of unemployment, which is as high as 40% in Uttarakhand, more than 15% in Uttar Pradesh. But people know that the BJP is scared of losing elections. And we are very sure that these atrocities and these setbacks that people suffer.
Tell me something, Mr. Aman Pawar, how much of a presence does the Congress have? If you look at UP, do you have enough skin in the game? Do you have enough candidates to pit against the Bharatiya Janata Party on 403 seats? In Manipur, your party is in complete disarray. In Goa, currently, you stand at 2 MLAs only. 2 MLAs is your strength in the Legislative Assembly. In Uttarakhand, you're trying to put together a campaign, but there is Aam Aadmi Party as well, which is trying to get its own skin in the game. So how much of a chance does the Congress stand in these elections?
Does the chance the Congress stand is an answer which has been given by friends like you in the media. We have proved to be the principal opposition party in Uttar Pradesh, raising almost all people-centric issues, all important issues, be it the farmers, be it Hathras, be it other issues related to students, the youth. The way BJP had completely unleashed fear and their agencies on farmers, the way Priyanka Gandhi ji, Rahul Gandhi ji have stood by each and every section of Dalits, of the minorities, be it the other weakened sections of the society. So we have played a very important role in raising their voices, raising their concern from the very pedestal where all political parties should have been. However, unfortunately, most of them were missing. Now, as far as Goa is concerned, all of your viewers and people of Goa very well know that how the mandate that was given to Congress by the people of Goa last time was stolen by the BJP at the strength of their governor's power and at the strength of money and muscle power.
Okay,
so
that's what happened in 2017. That's what happened in 2017. But you could not keep your flock together, sir. You could not keep your flock together. You're down to 2 in the Goa Legislative Assembly. From 17, I believe, that you won.
We are now fighting elections on certain issues. These issues are very much coherent with the people of Goa. Be it Goa, be it Uttarakhand. Now you see Uttarakhand, again, they had to change their chief minister thrice. They know that they have not been able to fulfill the aspirations of the people on which, whether they stole the mandate in Goa or where they were elected by the people. They have failed the people of those states completely. And this is an election where it is not that people are going to buy jumlas that are given by the BJP every now and then. They have now tried and tested the party. They have seen their governance for the last 5 years and for more than 7 years in the center.
Okay.
So now this is an election where jumlas are not going to fly anymore. They have tried the BJP. They have seen how miserably the BJP has failed to deliver.
Okay, we'll have the BJP respond to that. You've changed your chief minister thrice in Uttarakhand. How confident are you that the people will in fact cast their vote in your favor come 2022 elections. We will take that to the BJP. Before that, with the physical rallies on hold till January 15, the political parties are ready with their digital campaign plan. Rahul Srivastav brings us this report.
From UP to Punjab to Uttarakhand, crowded rallies are the very face of this endless dance of democracy. But with the Election Commission's crackdown on physical rallies, at least till January 15, political parties are gearing up to make their campaign machinery go virtual in the 5 poll-bound states.
The Commission has decided that no roadshow, Padyatra, cycle, bike vehicle rally and procession shall be allowed till 15th January 2022.
In meetings with the Election Commission, political parties have voted unanimously for elections to be held on time, even if the worst-case scenario was not being able to be there in person to ask for votes. In fact, elaborate blueprints to conduct virtual rallies are already in place. The Modi-Shah election machine is already well-oiled to meet the challenge of maintaining visibility through the virtual mode. It has been put to test each time Prime Minister Narendra Modi, Home Minister Amit Shah, Party President JP Nadda or other seniors have had a political or administrative outing in the last 3 years, including most recently in Bengal. Starting from the very top down to its huge 14 lakh strong volunteer army on the ground, the BJP's virtual campaign involves laptops, handheld devices and officials down to the booth level, ensuring political messages reach far and wide. Each rally or event to be attended or addressed by the BJP leadership can go live from any remote location. All of the top BJP leaders already have dedicated technological hardware available at their home bases to go live. If Prime Minister Modi cannot address a rally in person, his virtual avatar can kick in at very short notice. With everything already in place, once his stream goes live on giant rally screens, it is rapidly signal boosted across the BJP's vast social media channels and resources, providing enormous reach digitally. A reach test conducted recently when the Prime Minister was in Varanasi to inaugurate the new Kashi Vishwanath corridor proved to be a stellar success, reaching crores through 4 key social media platforms. The Congress isn't as big as the BJP on social media, but has its own digital blueprint, allowing for virtual rallies by Rahul Gandhi and the leadership should the need arise. Earlier this week, the party carried out a mock drill to test its systems and found it to be successful. Most recently in Uttarakhand, the Congress's Teen Tigada Kaam Bigada achieved huge success.
ये सब चीजें यूनिफॉर्मली सभी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज पर लागू होंगी। यहाँ बंगाल नहीं दोहराया जाएगा, क्योंकि बंगाल के अंदर जो रूलिंग पार्टी था दिल्ली में और जो शक्तिशाली लोग थे, उन्होंने सारे कोड ऑफ कंडक्ट को भी वायलेट किया और कोरोना प्रोटोकॉल को भी वायलेट किया।
And finally, challenger number 1 in UP, Akhilesh Yadav, has his own virtual plan too. A tech-savvy leader himself, his party has a large number of region, district and block-level WhatsApp groups used to telecast messages, video links and other campaign material. Recently, when Akhilesh Yadav undertook his Vikas Rath Yatra, thousands of social media handles operated by party volunteers went live, beaming his speeches and interactions with the public.
इलेक्शन कमीशन ने जो शर्तें रखी उनका शर्तों का पालन होगा। ये इलेक्शन कमीशन को सख्ती सरकार के लिए रखनी चाहिए, क्योंकि सरकार यहाँ पर मनमानी करेगी। पिछले चुनाव में भी मैंने देखा कि किसी भी नियम को इस सरकार ने नहीं माना।
Omicron has surely ensured that crowded rallies have been elbowed out for a new campaigning paradigm. With Rahul Srivastav in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
Tom Vadakan of the BJP and Aman Pawar of the Congress are joining me right now. Tom Vadakan, Akhilesh Yadav says सरकार पे ध्यान रखना पड़ेगा, निर्वाचन आयोग को सरकार मनमानी करेगी, पिछले चुनाव में हमने देखा था।
alibis one after the other. I heard the Congress's Aman Pawar saying great things. He is in an Alice in Wonderland situation. He imagines his party to be the past glory, but the reality is they are not grounded at all. They tried to change one chief minister in Punjab, and what happened? Almost the party split. I mean, we changed 3 chief ministers, that is his complaint. But we are still running the show there. And then we are growing from strength to strength. About price rise and inflation that he talks about, was there any relief during his government? Were petroleum prices any less during his regime? Point here is, when you point out one finger the other party, you look into your own acts.
Aman Pawar, do you want to respond to that? You said that the BJP changed 3 chief ministers in Uttarakhand, and what the BJP is saying, 1 chief minister change in Punjab, and look the disarray your party is in the state of Punjab.
See, we have seen rallies after rallies that the BJP is holding, and it is full of just empty chairs. That is exactly what happened in Firozpur this time when the Prime Minister was about to visit. And when out of 70,000 seats, the BJP could merely fill 700 seats in Punjab, the Prime Minister took a U-turn and made a chaos out of that situation by giving it a big political spin. And that's the same situation in Uttar Pradesh. We have seen Yogi ji now taking a back seat and Mr. Modi now going to do rallies after rallies in a marathon manner. So it speaks a lot about what is the situation of Bharatiya Janata Party in Uttar Pradesh.
Okay, Tom Wadakan, you want to respond to that? You have been raising your finger. You want to respond to that? Let's not fool ourselves. This is what Aman Pawar says.
I wouldn't dare contradict him because he's got a jaundiced view of the whole thing, and jaundice is no medicine. I can't cure him of jaundice. If that is his vision, well, so be it. The seats he talks about in Punjab is an act committed by it is an admission that the Congress party tried to sabotage the whole thing. They even attempted on the life of the Prime Minister of this country. I charge this party of doing this. And
you're saying the Congress is behind the security breach in the Prime Minister's convoy in Firozpur. The Congress party orchestrated it.
Yes.
It is extremely unfortunate that earlier the Prime Minister and today the BJP spokesperson is saying that the people of Punjab wanted to take the life of the Prime Minister. I mean, what can be more ridiculous than this? You could have you could have those. There were some protesters who were peacefully protesting.
Not the people of Punjab.
All the Prime Minister required to do was to probably beat them. You did that
party,
when
Mr.
Prime Minister visited Varanasi.
Congress party.
Convoy was stopped by 500 women who were complaining about atrocities against women in UP. He got out of his car, met those women. That what is the problem? They said that it is atrocities against women in Varanasi. He could have done the highway. Why is
with
he giving such a big political
former president in a secret
just because
meeting
you had a failed rally?
With the DGP appointed by you, it was a plot.
You should be ashamed.
It was a plot to assassinate
people of Punjab are trying to.
That's a very serious charge you're making, Mr. Tom Wadakan. That's a very serious charge. Those are very grave words you're using. A plot to assassinate the Prime Minister by the Congress party.
What is the proof? What proof do you have? And I challenge Mr. Wadakan to either put out the proof or he should apologize. That's a very serious charge. He's trying to say people of Punjab and they were trying to assassinate.
Okay, Mr. Aman Pawar, let Mr. Tom Wadakan respond to that.
This is a serious charge and I charge you. Why have you changed the DGP? Why have you changed the DGP? It's an admission of guilt. Why have you changed the DGP? How many officers are changed?
Why
are you doing this cover-up?
Let me tell.
Why are you doing this cover-up, Mr. Pawar? Why are you doing this cover-up? DGP removed. 10 officers removed. That's an admission of guilt. You admit that?
Is that an admission of guilt, Aman Pawar?
Can I answer now?
Sure. Go ahead.
Wadakan is not aware, but the earlier DGP was an interim DGP. Secondly, the UPSC itself had sent a list of 3 names. Sir, please, now don't interrupt.
Who has contact with the Pakistani
have a debate.
Sidhu has
Mr. Barakan, let Mr. Aman Pawar respond. Mr. Barakan, just hold on. Let Mr. Pawar respond. Let Mr. Pawar respond to the very serious charges that you've leveled against the Congress party. Mr. Pawar, go ahead.
Let me tell you that on 6th of January, the UPSC, the Union Public Service Commission, had sent a list of 3 senior most IPS officers in Punjab who could have been made as permanent DGPs in place of the current interim DGP that was there. So your UPSC itself has sent the list, amongst which the government of Punjab has picked one. Now, please go and ask your Prime Minister. Please ask your government at the center that they had they sent those 3 names or not, because the new DGP has been picked up from the names that has been sent from the UPSC. Mr. Barakan, please educate yourself about this.
Mr. Barakan, this was not some knee-jerk reaction. This was not some knee-jerk reaction removing the DGP of Punjab. It was not in reaction to what transpired in Firozpur.
In any case, we are very open to a very free and fair probe. We are glad that the Supreme Court has taken away the probe that was being conducted by the central government and has now given it to the Punjab and Haryana High Court. We welcome that, because this entire plot, this escape route that the Prime Minister found to not attend the rally will now be uncovered by the judicial scrutiny that is happening. We welcome the Supreme Court's decision.
Mr. Aman Pawar, I want to inform you these 3 names were available with the government of Punjab. Yet you succumbed to Mr. Sidhu's pressure of appointing a DGP. Mr. Sidhu's contact with Pakistan is well known. And where is your Mr. Rahul Gandhi? What is this secret meeting all about?
Prime Minister's
Questions are being asked
visit to Nawab Sharif.
Can you answer these questions? Are you authorized to answer these questions, Mr. Pawar?
Nawaz Sharif is very well known to the entire country, sir. Why did the Prime Minister visit Nawaz Sharif without informing anybody? He took an impromptu visit. Then you take the ISI and make them tour the Pathankot attack site. What are you doing?
He's not a cricketer. He's the Prime Minister of this country. He knows what the policy lines are.
Patriotism. Speak about real issues, sir. That is all you do. You try to divert attention. Speak about price rise.
People of these states
want to talk to you about the unemployment.
Okay, let's speak about the real issues. Let's speak about the real issues. Was the BJP afraid of facing the protests in Punjab, Mr. Barakan, which is the Congress's charge that the BJP was afraid of the numbers which had not in fact shown up at the Firozpur rally, which is why this whole story has been made up, has been cooked up. Is the BJP, to take it aside from the security aspect, the breach debate itself, which in itself is very serious and demands a very, very serious investigation, and the Supreme Court has taken cognizance of it. It will, of course, announce and tell us what exactly and which way this investigation, both the centre and the state's investigation, needs to proceed forward on Monday. But when we come to the kind of anger which has been seen on the ground, the protests which were planned, Mr. Barakan, in Punjab, on the eve of the Prime Minister's visit, do you think the BJP will be facing that ire going into these elections in Punjab?
Not at all. We have met all the demands of the protesting farmers. This is a front. They are putting the farmers, the so-called protesters are not the farmers but congressmen who are trying to pretend that they are protesters.
Okay.
And this is a whole. They are trying to front the protesters as farmers. This is an exercise by this party out of, I mean, it is helpless, in a helpless situation. They know that defeat is, their government is going. So this is the situation.
Let the Congress respond to that. Mr. Aman Pawar, please respond to that. These are not real protesters. These are not farmers who are protesting against the BJP on the ground. These are protesters propped up by the Congress party.
Let me tell you that the first and the foremost demand of the farmers' unions and the farmers who are protesting was that the Home Minister, Mr. Ajay Taini, whose son was involved in running over his SUV over 17 to 20 farmers, he should be removed. Mr. Modi has not paid heed to this demand. Secondly, the farmers of this country are very well aware that the 25 lakh crore agri-business that this country generates They wanted to hand that over to a few crony capitalists, which was stopped by our farmers who fought like warriors at the border of Delhi, who protested there, who did not run away, whether it was scorching heat or it was winter or it were rains. So 380 days the farmers sat there, and under what circumstances, just at the eve of elections, the Modi government was forced to take back these laws. And after that, the Union Agriculture Minister, Mr. Tomar, has very well said that this has been taken back temporarily, let the elections go by. So the farmers are very well aware of the intentions of this government. So this is nothing new. More than 700 farmers died in these protests. Mr. Modi never apologized even once. So the farmers of this country are very well aware how anti-farmer this government has been. For a few crony capitalists, they were ready to sell off the entire agri-business. What could be more anti-national than this?
Okay, what could be more anti-national than this? Mr. Tom Barakan, do you want to respond to that? The farmers are still not satisfied, is what the Congress party says. The farm laws may have been withdrawn, but there are other demands, including the resignation of Union MOS Home, Mr. Ajay Mishra Teni, and of course, the cases against the farmers, and then, as the Congress party says, an apology for the deaths of farmers, more than 700 farmers.
1984, have they apologized? The mass murder of 6
today
in the city of Delhi, how much of apology has come?
That's their
how
problem.
much of action has been taken against them? I'm countering them. Now, as to the question, now let me answer. Now, you've given your rally speech. Now, let me talk. I think that there must be a position where I should be able to give my party's point of view.
Please go ahead, Mr. Barakan.
This party is basically fronting for trying to put the farmers in the front and trying to make a political game out of it. The reality is they have failed on all fronts. Nobody is ready to believe them. They've been thrown out both across the country and now from the state of Punjab. So wait and watch for the date. Days are counted. This is Ides of March.
They don't have an answer.
And you can
they just don't have an answer.
Your political career in Punjab is over and out.
Okay, your political career in Punjab is over and out. Also, Congress party, like I said, Mr. Aman Pawar, the fact is that you are in a precarious position in other states as well, which are going to pose, be it Manipur, be it Goa, be it in the state of Uttarakhand, where your internal team, your team is completely riddled with factionalism. Aside from Punjab, where you're the ruling party and you're probably in a strong position, but again, internal team riddled with factionalism, how is the Congress going to consolidate its position in any of these states, Mr. Pawar?
Let me tell you that when we talk about Uttarakhand, and you can ask your beat reporters, you can ask people within the BJP, that Congress is coming back with thumping majority in this particular state. The BJP itself does not have its house in order. The Aam Aadmi Party, as you mentioned earlier, is a non-player, is not a player at all in these elections. And we have a very united house. These may be the media's reports or,
it doesn't seem like that, Mr. Pawar. Media's reports. Mr. Harish Rawat's outburst on social media, we didn't report it via sources. He spoke on social media.
Let me tell you that Mr. Harish Rawat is the campaign committee chairman. And as the campaign committee chairman, he is all entitled to air his views, which are to be taken into consideration. They have been taken into consideration. And Mr.
So that does suggest that there is trouble within the internal unit, within your state unit.
Not at all.
Why not?
I am not a future teller. I am not a Jyotishi to predict the results today. But I can just tell you about the preparation, and I can tell you, with Uttarakhand facing up to 35 to 40% unemployment, with Uttarakhand, the BJP government doing a scam with respect to the COVID arrangements itself in Haridwar, the BJP government, known as a tainted government in Uttarakhand, they have completely failed the aspirations of the youth. We are set to come back. As far as our internal issues are concerned, let me tell you that Congress is a united house under the leadership of Mrs. Sonia Gandhi, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, and we will put our house into order. We know how to do it. We have done it earlier.
On the eve
and
of
we'll
the
do it
elections,
again.
on the eve of the elections, sir, this is a very critical election. You're saying we will put our house into order.
This is what you are saying. I am saying my house is already in order. Once we win the election,
Okay, your house is already in
we
order.
will
Just
go.
a final word from the Bharatiya Janata Party before I wrap this up. The BJP, the Congress is saying Mr. Vadakan is basically looking at a stiff challenge going into these elections. Speaking of Uttarakhand, if you want to just end on that note, because we were just discussing Uttarakhand, the Congress's charge is we are a united front. The BJP doesn't know one chief minister from the other, keeps changing chief minister. So how is it a united front in Uttarakhand?
We have the majority and the thinking and the vision to change our chief ministers when and when necessary. We are a party that does not believe in dynastic concepts, that we have to wait orders from Tenjanpat or from Rahul Gandhi's office to decide on the chief minister. We decide on the people's will. We decide on the visions that we put forward. We decide on the actions that we need to take. So our house is already in proper order. The only worry is the chief minister's face has been going on social media, saying what he said. Now the point is, their house is in order, says Mr. Aman. It is an Alice in Wonderland situation. Let him say what he wants to say. But the reality is, people have woken up. The dynasty is not going to work anymore.
Okay. We'll see. It is the electorate, the people that will decide. Over 18 crore electors going into cast their ballot in these elections in 5 assembly states. We'll see, of course, what that final result is on the 10th of March. Mr. Tom Vadakan and Mr. Aman Pawar, thank you so much for joining us on this discussion. We're slipping into a very short break. On the other side, our exclusive conversation on the Uttar Pradesh assembly elections with Siddharth Nath Singh and Akhilesh Yadav.